Hey guys, in today's video we're going to learn how to make this overlap off-shoulder cape dress with a mermaid ruffled design. Okay, so we're going to learn how to stitch it up to be neat as I'm showing you right now, and also learn how to draft this front skirt and the back skirt pattern. It's actually a gown, so let's head straight to it. Firstly, you'll be needing your basic bodice front with your basic dart, your side bust dart, and of course your waist dart. So I'm going to be folding this into two now. Because it's an off shoulder, we'll go ahead to mark 1.5 inches from your neckline, and you're connecting it to the bust point. This is going to serve as your neckline contour. It's an off shoulder and we are going to be cutting out a whole lot. So you want to contour those parts that you're going to be cutting out so it fits closely on you. I think this is over and over. I'm explaining what contour means. So I'm going ahead now to contour, impute my darts for the contour guideline, and I'm connecting it back to the bust. So we're going to be having a contour guideline. We're going to be having a contour dart at the neckline, at the shoulder, and also at the armhole because of this kind of designs. Some designs will require just at the neckline, but this design requires the neckline, the shoulder, and of course the armhole. If you want a detailed video of contour guidelines, then drop a comment in the comment section and I will drop the link so you can go check it out. Now I'm going ahead to impute all the necessary contour darts. We've done that of the shoulder and we're going ahead to do that of the armhole right away. At this point, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do want to subscribe. Click the bell notification icon so you'll be the very first person to know when I post new lovely tutorials like this. So you make sure that all these contour guidelines appear on the other side, and that's what I'm going to have to do. Use your tracing wheel to do that. Now you're going to get your sleeve and you want to attach front to the front side like so. Same thing also I'm going to be doing to this side. You want to attach the front side to the front side like so. So having done that, now we're going to have to determine the depth of our arm shoulder, of our off shoulder, sorry. And now starting from the center sleeve, I'm going to be marking 2 inches. All right, I'm going to be marking 2 inches. I am a modest fashion designer, so my off shoulder is not going to be revealing any cleavage, and trust me, it comes out beautiful. So 2 inches from the very tip like so. I went ahead to fold it back, and for the depth of my neckline, I'm going ahead to input the measurements now. So because this design has an overlap effect in front, it has an overlap effect in front, you want to take note of your center front, and it's at that center front that you should be marking your depth of your neckline. So here we used 5 inches. All right, here I'm using 5 inches, which I feel might be very deep. Okay, so you want to use something that is not going to reveal your cleavage. Now I used my hand to give a freehand sketch of the way the neckline should look. Normally you just go ahead and use the ruler and put it all the way, but you have to use your hand to do that freehand sketch. If you use a ruler, the neckline, the center front will go so deep that you might not be able to wear it. So now to impute the remaining part of the cape effects, I'm going to have to do this right now from the very down part of the sleeve. All right, I'm going to have to do this now, and we'll go ahead to do same thing to the other side. Not same thing actually, 2 inches off shoulder, and then from the hem of the sleeve we're connecting it all the way to this point like so. And at this point, this is what it's looking like. I'll go ahead to use my marker to make it visible so you guys will take note of the very important feature of this pattern we are creating right now. So a lot is going on here, but do not worry, just pay keen attention and you're going to understand. It's very simple. Do not mind the dart. Of course, you know we have contour darts, side bust darts, and waist darts. That's just all that's going on here. And as we move on, we keep making use of these darts and transferring them into star lines, and you understand better. So now this is what this design looks like. As you can see, it's forming already. I'm going ahead now to trace out the cape, these capes. Going ahead now to trace them out. So at this point, this is what they look like. Okay. At this point, this is what the cape looks like. I'm going to have to trace it out. And please take note of the dots that are imputed. Now you want to go ahead and label whatever it is that will help you know that this is where this is where that is. Please label every important point because you're going to be needing it. So having done that, I'm going to remove the sleeve so that we can work on the bodice proper. You want to be very careful while removing the sleeve so you don't rip your main bodice. You're not going to rip off your main bodice, please. So do this gently. I'll advise you just use your hands and not cut off anything so you do not cut off your main bodice. Just remove the sleeve gently. And after removing the sleeve, you're going to be left with your bodice. So now we're going to be working on the bodice. First, we're going to be cutting off to create that very neckline that looks like that is an overlap actually. The V neckline which is in front, we're going ahead to create it right now. So we're cutting that part off. The essence or the reason why we imputed our contour darts, right? So since we've cut this part off, now, we're going ahead to start opening up our darts. Now, depending on the kind of fabric you're using, you do not want to sew up the waist darts. No matter your fabric, do not sew up the waist dart. So you're going to be transferring all these darts to the side bust dart because the side bust dart is at the side of the bust and is actually hidden. So you can make your sewings there. Now I'm going to have to close up all these darts and we're going to be transferring everything to the side bust dart. Okay, so it's hidden. When you sew it up on your sewing machine, since the dart is at the side bust, it's hidden and it's not going to be obvious that a lot has went on there, you know. So that's what I'm doing right now, closing up all the darts and opening them at the side bust dart. So same thing also I'm going to be doing. You want to close it up like this, like so. So we're going to do same thing to this other side, okay? And having done that, this is what it looks like. Now, if you notice, this very particular part, the lines were broken because of the dart that we closed. So I added fresh pattern paper and I'm going to have to redraw the lines to make them straight again, okay? So that's the reason why I added those patterns, those fresh pattern paper. The reason why I added those pattern paper. So I'm going ahead now to smoothen it out, okay? Those broken lines, I had to redraw them and I'm cutting them off right now like so. So at this point, this is what it looks like, all right? So I felt like I did a lot here. I'm going to be smoothing it out and cutting off that very tiny part. So this is what your pattern should look like. And when you cut this on your fabric and sew it up on the sewing machine, you should be having something that looks like this, okay? So right now we're going to work on the back. For the back, which is actually very simple, I'm going to have to get my sleeve and also attach it like so, just as we did for the front. Be sure you're attaching the back sleeve to the back bodice and front sleeve to the front bodice, all right? So that is what I'm going ahead to do right now. So I'm going ahead now to mark like so, 2 inches, just like we did. And I'm going to have to get the depth for the back. I'm using 5 inches here. We're going to connect this 5 inches to that 2-inch mark like so. Then also I'm going ahead to connect this one to this very point. At this point, I just eyeballed it, but you want to measure the length of your cape Okay, so at this point I just eyeballed it, but you want to go ahead and measure the length of a cape. You can use 4 inches, 5 inches, whichever is optional. Okay, so now I'm going to be using my highlighter to make it obvious so you guys can see it clearly. So now this is what the back pattern looks like. Okay, and then we're going ahead now to just trace out that very cape, just like we did for the front. We're going to trace out the cape for the back also. And now I'm gonna have to trace out the cape for the back. As you can see, I did not impute any dart. I did not contour anything for the back, right? And that's totally okay. So I'm gonna have to detach the sleeve from the bodice right now. So for the back bodies, what you're going to be doing on your bodice is to remove your dart. Sorry, on the paper you want to cut open the dart so that you can trace it out on the fabric and sew. Alright, but on the paper you're cutting it open, then trace out on the fabric so you can sew it up on your sewing machine. Alright, so I'm labeling everything necessary so I do not get confused with this cape for the back. Okay, and then we'll go ahead to cut up or cut out that very part, our neckline for the back. We're going to cut it out. So this is what you're going to be having for the back. Now remember, we're going to be slashing and spreading all those capes. For the front now that has some darts in it, you're going to be closing up those darts and transferring the excess to the hem of the cape so you can have more fullness. And that is what I'm going to be doing right now. So I'll close up this dart, transfer it to the hem, close up this also, transfer it to the hem so we can have more fullness before we start slashing and spreading. And remember, whatever I do here is what I'm also going to be doing to the other side of the cape. And the lines got broken at the very top part where we are going to be stitching down, so I went ahead to add fresh pattern papers to it, and then I smoothened it out. I'm going to be cutting out the excess. Now I'm going to be slashing and spreading. Please, the same method I used to slash and spread this is the same method we're going to be using to slash and spread for the front, the two capes for the front, and also the cape for the back. So you want to watch carefully because I'm not going to repeat the process again. That is why I'm taking my time to do it now. I kind of ripped this paper, so I'm going to be using my tape to hold it down. Please be careful while cutting so you do not rip your paper. So on the fresh pattern paper, I'm going ahead to spread them out like so. As you can see, it has formed a flounce. All right, it has formed a flounce. So this is what it looks like. And the same thing I went ahead to do for the back and the two cape piece for the front. Now I had to cut this out on a fabric because it's going to be more relatable to you guys. So I can be able to manipulate it. The paper is rigid. And since this is a flare or a flounce, by the time I try to manipulate it on the paper, it's going to cut. So I had to cut it out on fabric so I can at least show you guys how to stitch up that very overlap effect at the front. If you look at the top of the screen, that very overlap effect at the front. Okay, so these are the two pieces of the cape for the front, and here is what you want to do. So this is the one that has the overlap effect. I already marked a notch to show that this is the center, like here, okay? And you know it's supposed to be placed like so, and this other one is supposed to be placed like so on it, and it was stitched together. So what you want to do is, if you've kept it like this, you want to turn right side onto right side. Please watch carefully what I'm doing now. You want to flip this over, the one that is overlapping, you want to flip it over, and then you stitch together onto that very one. You're going to be stitching together like so, okay? So you're going to be stitching it together like so. I'll go ahead and stitch it, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like. So I'm gonna head to stitch it now, you guys. This is what, can you look at that effect? Can you see that? So on your very particular dress, after you've stitched both of them together, you want to continue stitching all the way down to this point like so. I hope you understand. All the way down to your waistline like so. So the stitching can also cover up for the rest of the overlap effect, and you have to give this a very nice press. I hope I've tried my best to explain this. Now for the back, you want to join your center sleeves together. That is if you do not cut your center sleeve as one. If you've cut them separately, then you have to go ahead to join them together before attaching it to the back. So let's go over to the stitching of the main bodice. You're going to be sewing up your side bust dart, which you transferred all the darts to. All right, you're gonna have to sew up your side bust dart, okay? And also here, also you go ahead to sew up this dart like so, okay? And you'll be having something like this. So I haven't done that now. You're also going ahead to sew up the darts for your back bodice, okay? And this is what you're going to be having. So you're going to be sewing right side onto right side. You want to join the bodies together. You're going to be sewing right side onto right side. Please do not touch the armhole area. You're only sewing after the armhole. So I haven't done that now. I went ahead to put the cape all together from the back up until the front. I hope this is understandable for you guys. I told you guys that I'm not at my workplace now. I'm very far away. But once I come back, we'll resume sewing videos. So this is what it looks like. Please, I hope I've explained well, and you'll be able to remake this design on your own from the explanations that I've given. So that is what it looks like. We'll head over to making the skirt part of it. I'm only saying skirt, please. This is a gown. We head over to making the lower bodice. All right. So first thing, you're going to be opening your waist dart. Now, like I said, the fabric that was used in making this design is scuba, and scuba fabrics are not always, they are not that friendly. If you're sewing that on a scuba fabric, it's not friendly. It's not looking nice. It's not going to look nice at all. So in order to be on the safer side, if you're using a scuba fabric, you have to eliminate the dart by the side. But if you're using a fabric that it's okay when you sew up your dart, when you iron it out, it's going to lay flat, then there's no problem. You can cut this open and sew up your dart. All right. So you want to take note of your center front hair. I went ahead to fold it in like so. So now for the sides, you also want to take note of that and make sure that the side of the front and the back, they are together. So from your hip line, you're coming down by 4 inches. From your hip line, you're actually coming down by 4 inches for the front. Okay. I'll go ahead to use a ruler to square this line across like so. So I haven't done that now. I went ahead to open this up and extend the line all the way to this point also. So now I'm going to be making kind of a design, something that looks like this. I did not measure it, but you want to measure the length of your flare. Here is 3.5 inches. So you can decide to use 4 inches, 3.5, 5 inches, whatever you feel is okay, especially if you want just to cover up your knee. All right, so you have to at this point consider what you want, and then this whole part I'm going to be slashing and spreading them. And of course I'm cutting off this very part. So when you open it up, this like kind of that opening, the part where it's opened, where the flare is surrounded. Okay, so I went ahead to close it back. And because I do not want this to be straight, I do not want the joining part to be straight. I want it to be kind of curved. So that is what I'm trying to create now, the curved effect. Now with my scissors, I'm going to be cutting it out like so. So here is the upper part of the skirt, and the whole of this part we are slashing and spreading. Okay, now we are adding fullness at that part where it's open. We are adding fullness at the part where it's open. Do not worry, I'm going to slash and spread it to show you guys where to slash and spread and where not to cut open. Like I'm showing you guys how to go about the slash and spread, and I'll do that as we go on in this video. So I'm going to be extending that hip line all the way to this other side of the front, and you want to make sure that your front and back are in alignment. Reason because the slash and spread you're going to be doing for the front, you're going to be sewing it to the back. The back is going to be like what is going to hold it. So you want to make sure that the lines are together, so you don't start sewing and you find that the front is longer than the back or the back is longer than the front. So now I'm going to show you how to go about the slash and spread. You're going to be cutting from here to this point like so. Okay, so like I said, we want fullness at this part that is open, so that is where we are spreading out. I hope that is understandable. We want fullness at this part where it's open, so that is obviously the part where we are spreading out. I've gone ahead to slash and spread all these things. So you're going to be opening this up on your fabric. You want to be generous with opening this up because you want the flare to come out very nice as a flounce. So be generous with your fabric while opening this up. Okay, I didn't have a lot of papers to spread it out the way I would want, so be generous while spreading this out. Now heading over to the back, which is actually very simple. The back is an A-line mermaid skirt. That's what the back looks like. The back is mermaid with this cone attachment. Okay, with this cone attachment. So for the A-line effect, you're going to be starting from your knee. Some persons like to start above their knee. So wherever you're starting, either on your knee or above your knee, okay, is up to you. So at the point where you're starting, you want to cut from your bust apart line, bust apart measurement line, like so. And when you get to that point where you want to start to have your A-line effect, you're cutting all the way to the side like so. Then you spread it out. You add fresh pattern papers to hold your spread, and this is what it's going to look like. Now for that cone effect that looks like a tail, the cone tail effect, of course. So what I did is that you're going to measure from this very point, of course, the point where you're going to be attaching the cone. You're going to be measuring from that very point to your hem. Okay, so whatever you get from that very point to your hem, you want to get a tip of your paper. All right, at the very tip of your paper, you're going to be taking that measurement round. You're going to be taking that measurement round. Now this can be as round as you want it, depending on the amount of fabric and how much tail you want to have. So this can come as round as possible. All right, so do not say because mine is smaller, yours should be smaller. You can make this roundness as much as you want, depending on how much you want it, and also consider your fabric. Okay, so I went ahead to cut this out like so. Yours can be half of a circle, yours can be a full. Okay, so this is what I'm doing right now, and here is the cone or the tail cone attachments, right? So this is what it looks like, and you're going to be placing it here. So remember, you're cutting your back in two pieces, By the time you start stitching down, you put the other one here, and that is it for this tutorial. If you found this tutorial helpful, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.